Earlier this week, news broke that Fred Kerley, former world champion and American sprinter, is joining the Enhanced Games. And you're thinking, what the heck is that? I know. It's the games where they don't test. It's a free-for-all. Do whatever you like. It's happening in Las Vegas next May. Now, to help me unpack this crazy conversation, Commonwealth Games medalist Kate Van Buskirk, and of course, Olympic champion himself, Donovan Bailey. Let's start with Fred. How surprised are you that Fred Kerley has signed up as a world-class elite athlete to this thing?
Well, I'm surprised. I mean, most people might say that they're not surprised, but I am surprised. I mean, I like Fred Kerley. Let's start there. I think that Fred is one of the greatest sprinters today. Sub 44, sub 20, sub 10 seconds. I mean, like maybe him or maybe Tobago is the only other athlete I think that can do that are competing today. So I was surprised. But the question that I asked is, or I would ask Fred if I had a chance to speak to him, which I probably should reach out, is why? I mean, is it the money? And clearly, the answer is going to be the money. But then, is he then retired now? Has he eliminated himself from the whereabouts program? Is he no longer going to answer to the IOC, the IAF? Is he no longer going to answer to his federation? Really, how much money is going to take away from the fact that you're still young? And 2028 is the Olympics in Los Angeles, and it's your home Olympics. So there's 1,000 questions. I mean, are you great mentally, psychologically? I mean, there's many things that I ask Fred.
And that's a good question. So $1 million if you break a world record. I don't know if Usain Bolt's 9 point, whatever it is.
Not going to happen.
Is not going to happen. There's also a $500,000 prize pot for all the winners, and there's also a $250K alleged prize if you win. Fred Kerley's not alone, though, Kate. There's Ben Proud, who's a British swimmer who has signed up. He won a silver in the pool in the Olympics last summer. What are you doing? So all his funding is gone now. His federation has said, you can never come back from this. But, Kate, there's so many ways that we go about this. But what is the impact for you? I know there's a lot of them.
There are. And, P, I think that Donovan's already hit on a bunch of this, right? So you're going to be eliminated from, in many cases, your federation's team ever again. In the case of the United States, the Olympics are coming up in LA. What a point of pride, what an opportunity to compete on the home scene, to be able to represent your country. That's gone. That this is now being sort of vilified by many of the federations. You will never again be able to compete. And I think a lot of that, and I want to just touch on what Donovan said, because I think it's really important. It's not about vilifying the athletes themselves. It's about a safe sport issue at its core. Pardon me. So at its core, we've seen athletes literally die from performance-enhancing drug use, from PED use, right? So if this is going to put strain on your body, on your heart, it could literally be a deadly impact. I think first and foremost, that's the most important thing. And then sort of an extension of that, the athletes who need the money the most are likely the ones to be targeted, to be brought into this and to say yes. So I see a potential impact here around exploiting vulnerabilities of those who might be most, attuned to $500,000. That sounds great. $500 US, that's a lot to an American. That's even more to a Canadian. That's a lot to someone from the global South, right? So what is the impact around global inequality that this is going to continue to create as well?
So Seb Coe, who leads World Athletics, has called this bullocks. I like that word, the British word, an English word. What are the chances that this Donovan actually finds an audience? I mean, we watch WWE, right? All of them clean. We watch NFL. We know that they have their issues. What are the chances that people will sign up and watch this thing?
We live in a world, Perdita, of sound bites and reels and 30-second reels. So this absolutely will find an audience. There's no content that you're going to put out there that is not going to find, especially the big internet, that it's not going to be. But it is going to be, for me, I think it's going to be a circus. I mean, at the end of the day, we all know, as athletes, we all know that you're never going to have some guy or some lady hop out of the stands and come break world records. We know this, right? And so if these games are a year away or less than a year away, who is doing what? Where are they going to come from? I understand that it does. You have two athletes, two legitimate athletes that certainly given voice and a platform to these games happening, and it's clear that they have a lot of money being pushed, right, or being supported, like being supported, giving it to them. But what's going to happen? What are we going to? Am I going to watch it? Probably. I mean, if you're seeing something, and you're probably, I'm probably going to be watching with one eye, my hand over one eye, just to see. But there's no legitimate stars going to come out of this. I don't think that there's going to be any world records that's possible out of this. And again, we're talking about safe sports. Okay, so you go out. Let's just say like this happens. The flip of the hat, something happens and you break a world record. Now what? What are you going to do?
You get $1 million.
Right.
But $1 million. Perdita.
You, Donovan.
No, but wait. No,
you
wait.
got millions, but some people don't have that. That's a lot of money.
Understood, but I'm saying to you that, like, for instance, I mean, I'll speak of Fred because I understand sprinting and money in sprinting. I don't know what his contract is, but if his contract is 500,
I don't think he has anything left.
But I'm talking
about when he was.
No, not when he was. I'm talking about what he's getting for this.
Oh, got it.
At his age, I hope it's $5 million, not $500,000, because he's got a long life to go, right? So I'm just saying that you have to think about this. $500,000 now, and then what? Like, where do you go? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're here and you're shutting every door that's possible for you to earn a living in the future, like let's just say that he goes in and it goes well. First of all, you can't go back and compete. So that your life as an athlete is done. Okay, so you have a job as a coach. No one's gonna hire you for real money because of the stain that's coming with you.
But can I say what I think is really ridiculous? And Kate, I'll have you tack on. Right now, Fred Kerley is serving a sanction for whereabouts infraction. And so back last month, he said, I'm going to appeal this with my lawyer. So you're about to appeal your whereabouts sanction, but then you go and sign up for the enhanced game. To your point, how do you ever even come back for this? I just don't think this is a good look or a good idea at all.
It's definitely not a good look. And I completely agree with everything you just said, Donovan. I think the point is, this is where I talked about the vulnerability. Look, I was a mid-distance track athlete who never made a final at the Olympics. So yes, I went $10,000 in debt to get to the Olympics. $500,000, $1 million, that is big money, right? It's so enticing, especially in a moment when you are most vulnerable, when you might be broke, when you're thinking, how do I keep going, right? I made my first Olympics at 34. In some ways, I'm a perfect candidate for this. Washed up, too old, right? And in debt. This sounds incredibly attractive.
It is.
And I think this, P, goes back to your question about who's the audience going to be. This is my concern. You might have, the diehard track and field fans who are watching the sport for the love of what we do, to test the boundaries of the human limit. Those people they might tune in as sort of like watching a car wreck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not going to watch because they like it. However, my concern is you are getting maybe young kids, 15, 16-year-olds who haven't quite gotten to that level yet, but see another avenue, especially those, again, who are coming from backgrounds where they don't have the same opportunities. And so I'm kind of speaking to it out of both sides, right? Someone who came and could say, look, I could be a really good candidate for this. I can understand how someone in my position would be enticed, but also what's the impact going to be for the inspiration? I grew up watching track and field. Sir, I grew up watching you. I'm going to share, and I've told you this, but I'm going to share that when I was 9 years old, I watched Mr. Donovan Bailey win the Olympics and set a world record. And I turned to my dad and said, one day I'm going to go to the Olympics. I'm going to break Donovan Bailey's world record. Because I was a little 9-year-old girl who thought that was possible.
The inspiration
and
from
here
that.
I am, continuing to watch my compatriots. Evan Dunphy, a perfect example, very outspoken about this issue. World champion. Mm-hmm. And he's younger than me, but he's one of my role models, right? So I'm talking about the cumulative impact, especially for younger kids coming up. We're inspired because we are doing something that is testing our own possible limits. Right. And if I may, I'm going to bring in an example here that might be a little contrary, which is Faith Kipyegon in the sub-4 attempt. So this was a setup event, right? It was not going to be considered a world record. She was trying to be the first woman to break 4 minutes in the mile. Yes. No woman has ever done that. Now, had she accomplished that, it would not be considered a world record. It would have been a world best because she was set up with male pacers. She had, the V formation, all the scientific.
Everything that she could have.
Exactly. The things she didn't have were PEDs.
Correct.
So that to me is, let's, Kipchoge was the same way with breaking 2. Let's explore the boundaries of human potential in artificial environments, but not with artificial substances.
Right. My hope is that everybody watching this, you're right, it's almost like watching a circus or a clown show. You're just like, what are they doing? Do you want to watch this? Like a reality TV program. But my hope is it doesn't really gain traction. This might be a fleeting experiment that doesn't really grab hold. But as a parent of a young kid, if I'm watching this and seeing this, I'm very concerned with what signaling it gives to my child. Does this bring, in your mind, Donovan, does it put the sport in disrepute? Does Fred Kerley's participation make a mockery of our sport? Everything that has been accomplished by elite athletes and runners legitimately without the drugs?
No, it does not. I don't think it will bring a mockery to our sport because I think that track and field's been around. I mean, official, we'll say the Olympics.
But do people think they're all doping, they're all dirty, they're all wrong? And then you have Fred Kerley, who is serving a sanction, now joining this competition for enhanced games. To me, if I already have that in my head, I'm going to be like, wait a minute, doesn't that taint others in a way? Well,
I mean, I think the governing body, that's their responsibility. I mean, I think that we're all athletes. So, I mean, the governing body's their responsibility is to catch the cheaters, right? I mean, the fact is that Fred is saying, hey, I'm going to cheat. He's eliminating himself from being considered one of the best. And we know that, obviously, maybe he's eliminating himself from being one of the best, and maybe he's putting into question how we achieve those. Again, there's many sides. We could go on this, and I like Fred. I think that Fred is absolutely phenomenal. But he's got to see where he's going with this. Like he has to see where he's going and the support that he has with this. Because, like I said, I have no idea the amount of money that he's going to get.
I don't think it's worth it.
I don't know the amount of money that you're going to get to essentially cut off what you're going to do in the future, not knowing what you're going to do in the future. Right, and for me, it's again seeing the balance, understanding what he's going through, and like we're saying outside. I mean, I would have to ask him. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what is up? What hey, dude, what's up? Because I mean, I think that also this is very important. I've always, and everyone knows this, I've always been this incredible anti-doping crusader my whole life, and I believe that if you are intentionally taking steroids, you're intentionally taking drugs, you should never be able to compete in your sport again.
Lifetime ban.
And you should never be able to coach, and you should never be able to mentor kids, ever, right? So I'm just saying so I just want to make that very clear, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously from, competing for Canada in the 90s and, and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. So seeing it and having a discussion now and having a discussion about, a games that's going to happen, and we're going to see people being doped properly. There's no such thing. And also, Perdita, to your point, I just think it's a one-off. I do. I believe it's going to be. I think it's going to be a one-off. Yep. There's not going to be any spectacular thing. No. Although you really have crazy people out there that want to see how much the human body can take. I think that, like you said, it's a sideshow. They want to see an athlete go and compete and blow up at the end. There are crazy people out there that thinks that would be intriguing, which to me is the dumbest thing in the world. Again, being parents and mentors, you kind of look at it and go, man, maybe that's not right for that to be happening.
Kate, final thoughts.
Yeah, I so appreciate this conversation. I think it's super important. Thank you for all of that, Donovan and Perdita as well. I think at the same time, Donovan, you saying if you ever dope, you should never be allowed back in the sport. I believe in harsh penalties. I believe in the one and done. That being said, I think we also have in this conversation, talking about not vilifying the athletes when we know that there are many other forces at play. Ultimately, yes, we are responsible for what we put in our bodies. We're responsible for the choices we make, especially as adults, absolutely. But in an event like this, where it could be so exploitative, the positive that I see coming out of this is the
Please
potential.
find one for me, please.
Oh, believe me, I'm going there. The positive I see is that this opens the door in a really big way, and in a way that I think hasn't been as urgent as it is right now, to have a conversation about the fact that if people are gravitating to this, it's because they are not making enough money in their sport. It is not sustainable. So our current system is not working. If it's not working, let's find a better way. We are talking about absolute ends of the spectrum. We're talking about pure clean sport, which we know is unfair.
Should be, yes.
And, well, yes, for sure. Yes. And there's some, but then we're talking about, okay, so our anecdote to that is the absolute opposite end of the spectrum with no holds barred, let's go all out. There has to be, not in terms of doping, but there has to be a gray area conversation about how we better take care of our athletes, how we better support, both from, physical, mental health, but financially. Let's have a more frank discussion about how we create a longevity in our sport, and then also bolster the next generation.
We need to stop talking about it as an amateur sport, by the way.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
I mean, and I think that a big part of it, again, I think that we're all in agreement that financial support is absolutely necessary, but we need to start treating it like golf and tennis. Track and field is a singular sport. We all did singular event under the umbrella of athletics. And you need financial support if you're going to dedicate years and times, years and years and years, and dedication and discipline and focus. You need to also make some money to pay your mortgage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All I gotta say is, if you're a parent and you want to watch it, PVR it, record it, but make sure your little ones, your young athlete, your impressionable ones are not watching this stuff, okay? Because we over here, we like our athletes clean. We like to watch our sport. We like it clean. Kate, Donovan, thank you for this conversation. I hate that we have to have a conversation like this, but they are having the enhanced games in 2026. Anyways, we have to definitely talk about it. So I don't think this conversation is wrapped up or over anytime soon.